All right.
Hello, fans, and welcome to another episode of High and Tight. I'm John Nolan, the Prep Baseball Virginia DC Northern Virginia Scouting Director. Joining me is the Virginia Scouting Director, Jason Burton, as well as Virginia DC Assistant Scouting Director, Jordan Jones. Jason, Jordan, how are we doing today?
Doing good. Doing good.
I was about to say, everyone chiming in there. All right, we finally had events. What did we eat this weekend? Anything fun, or did you guys stick to the simples?
We had dinner Saturday night. Little Texas Roadhouse. Louisa took care of us. Shout out to Alyssa. Um, but yeah, no, we had Texas Roadhouse Saturday night, so it was good.
How many of the rolls with the cinnamon butter did you guys go through?
I don't know. It's five of us.
Maybe about 5 baskets, maybe. Around there.
I think Alyssa packed a few for the road.
4, 5.
Okay. All right. So we got to the Texas Roadhouse. I had a McDonald's stop along the way. It was really exciting stuff. We are on here today to start breaking down our busy weekend of preseason all-state action. We had two events last weekend. The PAS Beach at Coastal Sports in Norfolk on Saturday, and then the preseason all-state Northern Virginia at Replay Baseball in Ashburn on Sunday. We had well over 145 players combined between the two events. There were a ton of standouts. I want to start with a small disclaimer first. There are more players who had strong weekends than it's possible for us to talk about in this podcast while keeping this thing to a reasonable length. So we're going to hyper focus on some of the major standouts, but please, 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 there are a lot of guys who had good performances this weekend. We'll have continued coverage rolling throughout to highlight more players than we're going to fit into this space right now. Stats releases have been posted. Social media should be done here in the next day or two, probably by the time you guys are watching this. Look for superlatives to begin to roll next week as we continue with our coverage. Burton, Jordan, any general notes on the events you want to share?
Uh, both events, had their strong points. I thought, just uh, obviously the numbers in Nova were huge. I think we had 113 registered. I think we had 102 or 103 in attendance out of those 113 registered. And I thought the talent level was impressive. Um, I thought the first group pitched it really well. Um, there were some highlight offensive pieces and some other things like that. The second group ran a lot better than the first group, which they're primary position guys. So that's usually the case. But I mean, I bet you 75% of those guys in that second group were sub four runners. So good athleticism. The arms in the first group were impressive. I think I counted it last night. We had like 17 or 18 arms. They were like 84 plus, 83 plus. Um, 289s, 88, couple 87s, some mid 80s freshmen, and some good looking sophomores. So I thought the talent level at Nova was really impressive.
Jordan, any notes?
Yeah, just overall, I think it was good talent that came through this past weekend. A lot of depth, athleticism, talented arms. So I think just good overall talent.
Okay, yeah, no, I would agree with that for sure. I thought there was a lot of talent. I thought even though Coastal was a smaller event, that it still was pretty well stacked with some good players, and that'll be represented as we go through this here, as we talk about them. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna break from our normal pattern and go slightly differently here, and we're gonna do the superlative style. So we're gonna pick from a couple categories here as we go through this to talk about players. And so our first category we're going to go with here is three guys that each of us think were the biggest winners of the weekend. And we're combining the two events. So we're going to pick guys from both the beach and from Nova just to kind of roll it all together. Because honestly, I don't know about the two of you. For me, when we do that the way we did it with 12 hours of break and a long car ride in the middle, it all kind of rolls together in my brain by this point in time. So, biggest winners of the weekend. Jordan, I'm going to tee you up first here. I believe you're going to Mr. Trip Fison. Is that correct?
Yes. Tripp definitely showed off his skill and versatility on Saturday. He led with catcher pop times with a 198 to 209. He had throwing accuracy with clean exchanges behind the plate. He also led with outfield velo with 88, so there's evident arm strength there, whether it is behind the plate or in the outfield. To go along at the plate, he was consistent in finding barrels with added strength to his frame that creates more impact with baseballs with more authority. So that overall is just good for see for him to him for him.
All right, again, that was Trip Fison. I'm going to go second here, and I'm going to stick with that beach event. I'm going to go Santiago Gomez, a middle infielder catcher from Cox. He actually worked out in both spots. He's a 2026. I thought he had one of the most standout days we had down there. It's an athletic frame, still has room to add some strength. Worked out at infield and catcher. He had arm strength showing behind the plate, but I really, really thought it showed well behind the dish. He was 78 on his throwdowns, which is pretty high. His pop was 201. Showed some accuracy on those throws as well. At the plate, a middle backside approach. He was very strong at contact. I thought there's a chance for him to really start generating some power. Add on top of that, he's a sub-7 runner, ran 6.94. So he's got the arm strength, he's got the speed, he's got the bat developing along with the power. I really thought it was a good day for him. And the versatility to go middle infield and catch at the same time and look good doing it, I thought was important. Bert, you're staying beach two here, and you're taking the one that I was trying to type first, but you got there faster than I did on our doc. Charles Tobler III.
Yeah, no, he was super impressive. 5'11" athlete, runs a 7.060, 31-inch vertical, which was one of the top verticals of the day. The 60 was as well. It was one of the better ones. 93-mile-an-hour exit velocity, above average hand speed, all of those things, for the offense and positional side. But I think most importantly was how he performed on the mound. I think everyone would agree with that. He's up to 87, nearly 11 inches of run on the fastball, two breaking balls with the slider, showing some true out pitch qualities. Um, I think he showed some feel for four pitches. Obviously, the fastball and the slider are kind of the clubhouse leaders as far as stuff goes right now for him. But just very intriguing. He's made some big jumps this offseason. We had a chance to talk to him and just kind of get a feel for like what his process was and where those jumps came from this offseason. I think we saw him at Fall State games, at Mid Atlantic State games, and he was like 81-4. So really impressive day for him. The slider was really, really good. And just thought overall he showed really well. Thought he was probably the biggest winner for arms on Saturday for me.
Yeah, I see Jordan shaking his head. Yes, I know. I may or may not have had to kill the sound on his video to remove some of the expletives that I had after watching that slider a couple times. So let's cycle back around here. Jordan, you're going to come up to Northern Virginia here. Ethan Hudson.
Yeah, Hudson got the show started early on Sunday morning. Came out throwing the fastball, 84, 86. Had plenty of life, arm side run. But the thing that I really enjoy about Hudson is his confidence in his secondary pitches. He can flip the breaking ball in the zone whenever he wants. He can throw it for a get me over strike or just throw a filthy breaking ball with more depth to get plenty of swings and misses. The changeup is just as good as the breaking ball. The changeup has nice fading action. It tumbles really well with the fastball that can produce weak contact and swings and misses as well. Hudson has continued to improve and get stronger. More looks we get at him, improved the velo from state games. But with his frame, I think the velo can continue to tick up as well, and that'd be a big part of his arsenal for him later.
All right. Again, that was Ethan Hudson. My second guy here, I'm going to stick with Nova Arm, Nova two-way guy here. Aiden Delaney, left-handed pitcher, first baseman from Heritage in Leesburg at 2026. Delaney's 6'3". It's a long, lanky frame. He got the day. I got to see him both on the mound and at the plate. Really jumped out to me early in the day on the mound. He was right in front of me. He's very, very long. It's really smooth and easy. He's got a low slot with a long, loose arm action. The ball comes out of his hand very simply, easily, smoothly. It was 82 to 84. I bet it gets on hitters because they don't expect it to explode on them. I also like the secondary. He's got a classic fading change for a lefty. Tight little slider with some late bite to it. At the plate, left-handed hitter. He's got some long levers. He gets really good extension out through contact. He's got a chance to grow into some power as he adds strength to that frame. I also think he ran 401 in the 30. I think he's athletic enough that he could play corner outfield if needed be to fit him into a lineup. And I just think that he's probably been playing first base to protect his arm. Thought it was a big day for him again. Aiden Delaney, two-way player from Heritage Leesburg. Burton, you are headed back to the beach here with Ryan Hummel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Hummel's a guy that we hadn't really had a chance to see a whole lot of. I think we saw, or our staff saw him in some capacity, I believe at tournaments, maybe this last fall or summer, um, but not in an event. So we haven't gotten any measurables on him and things like that. But it's really hard to not be impressed with the Cape Henry Jr. Measured at 6'3.4, so right there at 6'4. Um, still has room to fill. Fastest 60 on the day at 6'8'3". He came out like it's not some like super twitchy athlete, but it's really long strides. He was strong out of the gate. He had the best run times across the board, a 10, the 30, and the 60. I want to say his 10 was like a 161. I'm gonna check on that. Let's see. 60. Sorry, Nolan. Yeah, 161, 378, 30, which would have been the top 30 for Saturday and Sunday, as well as the top 10. So that was pretty impressive because there's some good athletes there on Sunday. Long strides, best vertical on the day is in the 33, 34-inch vertical range. Numbers indicate there's definitely some sneaky athleticism there. It's an easy operation at the plate and on the mound. Left-handed hitter with slight uphill path and some simple pre-pitch movements. Um, it's pretty normal effort, three-quarter arm in the low to mid 80s. I'm not sure where exactly he fits long term. The size obviously leaves some intrigue for the mound. Him being 6'3", 6'4", still has some young features. Um, but I might would lean a little bit more bat and positional right now because of the left-handed hit tool and because of the athleticism. But I think he's definitely the one that is worth watching in terms of two-way guys this spring.
All right, again, that was Ryan Hummel. Jordan, you're staying beach. Ryan Watson.
Yeah, Watson had an extremely loud round of BP on Saturday. It's a physical 6'2", 210-pound frame, evident strength, especially to the pull side. Was up to a 103 exit below, so that's very hard. Lived in the mid upper 90s in terms of exit below. Max bat speed was 78.3, so it's big time uh, speed in the hands. But also he stood out on the mound as well. Worked in the 81-82 range with the fastball, slider 70-71. But both pitches are above average spin rates, max effort. But the guy gets on the mound, competes, and attacks hitters early when he's on the mound.
Absolutely. Yeah, Watson hammered some balls for sure. Loud BP there. All right, for my last one here, I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to go Lowden County High School, which had a pretty good showing and a pretty strong contingent. I thought Josh Cook, Matthew Friend, Giovanni Gagliardi, Ben Griffin, Hudson Longendike, Jacob Martin, Owen Picarillo, all had pretty strong days. I thought quick notes on him. Cook was a long 6'5", 2025 arm, slender frame. He was in the low 80s, but he's got a lot of room to add strength to that frame. So there's a lot of chance for some upside velo. Friend is a 26 arm. He's a bit more physical, 5'10 frame with some strength. He threw with a ton of intent, was 82, 84, feel for a breaking ball. Longendike, also primarily a 26 arm like Friend. Physical frame also works low 80s up to 84. I actually like Longendike a little bit at the plate as well, potentially a true two-way player there. Griffin, a 25 catcher, some quick release and a bit of a pop time. I want to put a pin in Jacob Martin. That name's going to come back up again later for much more extensive conversation. And then lastly, Owen Picarillo, also a catcher at 26. He's got some versatility, got a chance to slide to the corner infield. The bat was good, I thought, especially later on in the day. Showed some gap power and a chance to continue adding more. So one of my winners here is Loudoun County High School. It'll be interesting to get out and see them. Could be some fun to watch that rivalry up in Leesburg between them and Tuscarora this spring. So, Bert, where are you going here for your last one?
Well, I'm gonna double dip. I'm going to take and anyone weighing in or wants to weigh in on this and piggyback. Um, First off, the PVI, the Paula Six pitching staff. Carter Purdue, Matthew Rousey, Will Emerson, Alex Pierce. Those four were there yesterday or Sunday, and I thought they were impressive in their own ways. Um, Purdue was up to 89. I thought there was some intent there. I've seen him probably a little bit more controlled in game in terms of effort and stuff like that. And I understand, like, he wants to show that he's added some arm strength and things like that. He was 86 to 88, touched 89, short shape breaking ball, showed some feel for that. Um, Rousey was up to 87. Nolan, I know you got to see him a
Yeah,
little
he
bit
was on
more.
my mound. It was 4-5 almost the entire time. 87 was the last one. What I felt was mostly impressive about Rousey was he was just dotting like you could have put a cup on a stick on that outside corner low and away, and he was just pounding it with 85-mile-an-hour fastballs, just dot 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 dot. Two different breaking balls, different shapes on them, changeup. He looked like he's in midseason strike throwing mode right now, and it's February 11th when they did this. Sorry, go.
No, no, I mean that's what like you were locked in there much more, but I kind of bounced over and saw a couple pitches. Um, I did come down there and watch Will Emerson a little bit. 25 side armor. The slot after watching some video and stuff, the slot has a little bit of variance in it. Some's like a really low 3/4, and then he'll drop down sidearm, maybe even a touch lower than sidearm on a few.
Yeah, I saw him a couple weeks ago at Diamond Skills, and he threw exclusively that side to slightly submarine, and I thought it looked really good and was going to be tough on hitters then. So the
Yes,
climb was a little bit different this time.
yeah, it's like a mid 70s, upper 70s velo. But he's going to be an effective arm. He's going to pitch, potentially short relief back end guy, get you out of a tough situation, get a ground ball. He had feel for the zone, and guys at that age, you don't see a ton of guys throw from that slot and be able to throw, four strikes and multiple pitches for strikes. Um, and then you had Alex Pierce, who was 83, 85. I saw some of his BP. I know Jordan loved his BP. He can really turn the barrel. It's explosive. I know, Nolan, you saw him a little bit more on the mound. I think he was on your end as well, correct?
I think he was, but was that when I was doing a social media post break? I feel like
I
Okay,
got the chance to look at Pierce.
okay, got you.
Yeah, what I really liked was his all speed. He had an interesting changeup and splitter combo. Splitter more of a diving action, and changeup had a little fade. More feel for the change, but those are two pitches that he really liked to throw during that bullpen that could be very effective for him.
So just impressed with the pitching staff there. I know they're going to have some innings to pick up this year on that staff. And so for those guys to show as well as they did and kind of carry that into the spring, it's going to be important because we all know that roster is going to be able to hit. Um, and then moving on, Nolan, we go to Briarwoods. Uh, like as far as underclass, a group of underclass players that were there, kind of, I guess you could say, as a collective. From the same high school. I thought Briarwoods may have had the strongest showing. Um, there's what I'm looking at: one, two, three, four, five players. Two of them are freshmen, one junior, and then two sophomores. Daniel Sanchez is a 6'4" freshman, low 80s, really intriguing frame that screams he still has projection. BK made a good point. He's like, man, if you look at his body, the kid looks old. He was like, you look at the face, he's still got a ton. Like it's some young features to him. But again, low 80s, 6'4", like kid's got a chance. Bryce Stanford is a 26 left-handed pitcher. I know that's one that Jerry really loved. He was on the far mound. I got a chance to watch him. 82, 83 mile an hour fastball, can really spin the breaking ball. The arm works. He has some tools on the mound. It's a strong athletic body. He's not some big physical kid, but he's filled out fairly well. Again, he's a sophomore, 26. Gage Strucko was 85, 86. Jordan, I think he was on the middle mound, correct? He was there in the middle, right? Were you
No, he was no. I think he was on the right.
okay? Either way, I saw Gage. He was 85, 86. Some arm strength on the defensive side, positional versatility, second base, outfield, has some athleticism. So there's some two-way intrigue there. Started at
Strucko offensively, he's got pretty big uphill swing. I mean, and I don't mean that as a negative. Like he drives the ball, and that swing generates some loft and carry naturally.
Yeah, I saw him. I know he's with him and Lawson take over the middle for Briarwoods. Um, so I know that they're pretty strong there. Danny Jensen is a freshman. He was 80 on the mound, has some athleticism. I liked him. I know he was on that far mound. And then there's Liam Heffernan, really solid defender in the outfield, above average runner, quick hands at the plate. Again, it's just a really strong group that I thought was there, with most of them um, outside of Strucko being sophomore and freshman.
All right, so that is the guys that we think are biggest winners. I mean, like I said earlier, there's a lot of winners, so just bear with us on this. Let's go ahead and keep moving here on to a new category. How about biggest improvement since the last time we saw these players? Guys who made a bigger jump, whether it's a couple months ago or a year ago, whenever we last saw them. So, Jordan, why don't we go ahead and go back to you first here? Ryan Kennedy.
Yeah, Kennedy definitely showed some big improvements. He's gotten stronger and added strength to his frame, impacts the baseball more power, improved his feel for the barrel, getting a sweet spot, low line drive tendencies as well, and a gap to gap approach. And he also has improved his athleticism with an improved 60 time down to a 710 from the summer. So it's just good to see him improve, continue to grow, try to be a part of this Hickory team in the spring.
All right. And guy I'm going to go with is from Langley two-way guy, Dagu Rana, a 2027. Rana's a player that we have been tracking. He made a big jump in the offseason, so we have seen him. His arm strength screamed out loud yesterday. He was 88 across the infield as a freshman. The arm strength also showed on the mound. He was up to 85.5 there, showed some feel for a slider. His athleticism to go with that arm strength defensively works. I think he does have a chance, not just from the arm standpoint, but athletically to stick in the middle infield. And then at the plate, he's got a chance to be an impact bat pretty quickly. I really like the aggressiveness, the violence with which he attacks the baseball, drives it, generates some carry as well. I like the jump that we got a chance to see there. I'm not sure if we'll see him a long term stick as a true two way or eventually see one side push through. But I really liked his showing yesterday. Again, Dagu Rana. Burton, as we said, we're going to put a pin in Jacob Martin and come back to him. Here you go.
Speaking of pin, if you put a pin in him, he's going to explode. That kid has really filled out, really filled out physical chest, shoulders. It's proportional. But the most important thing is all of that physicality that he's added and all of that strength. He has definitely maintained his athleticism. Well above average runner. I know when we're outside, I think last spring, Jordan, when we were at trials, he ran like a 6'6", 6'7". Um, at PVI, that May event. Yesterday, he turned out the best 30 at 3.82. It's an explosive barrel through the zone. I got to watch him in one of the blast cages. He really turned the barrel above average hand speed, above average bat speed, above average, well above average arm strength from the outfield at 92 miles an hour. I think he has the tools to stay in center. I have not had an opportunity to go to Loudoun County, right, Nolan? I didn't mess that up, did I?
No, I don't. No, you got the high school right, and no, I don't think that we. I don't know that we specifically got there last year.
Okay.
We will this year. I'm pretty sure of that one.
No, for sure. But so I don't want to speak a ton on him in center field like long term, but the tools are definitely there. The arm strength, the foot speed, the range, the physicality, um, and I think the bat has a chance to impact the baseball. So just really impressed by him and the strides he has made. I remember Jacob when he was what I guess 14 years old at JFG with some of those guys, and he was this I don't know 6 foot 5'11" like lanky kid, and there was no strength there, and it was just like straight down, and now he's really filled out and has gotten really physical, and looks the part for sure.
All right. So again, like we said, Jacob Martin. And now let's go back second time around here on biggest improvement. Dylan Waits for Jordan.
Yeah, over the past summer and fall, we've got to see Waits a lot, and he's improved a lot since we last saw him, which was in the fall in state games. But he has added strength to his frame. Was up to a 94 exit below on Sunday. He already had bat-to-ball skills that plays in game, and we've seen that throughout the summer and fall as well. But just the fact that he has added strength to his frame and has the ability to impact the baseball with more power, just another huge step for him. Smooth, fluid actions in the infield, maybe second base long term. But I mean, it's the bat is what you're buying in first, and I was really impressed to see the strides he's made on Sunday.
Okay. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to stay Northern Virginia here. Kason Chada, also a two-way guy, 2026 from Centerville. We haven't seen Chada on the mound with a chance to get good data on him for a minute. He closed my mound down on Sunday. I thought it was a pretty strong showing. He was up to 86, worked 84, 85. I really, really, really like the feel for his secondary stuff, the breaking pitch, the changeup. He's a true three-pitch guy this spring for the Wildcats. It's a pair of fun sophomore arms that Centerville's going to have with him and Gambone. Offensively, I think Chada's a gap to gap guy right now. There's some doubles power present. Could see him hit for a decent average and roll some balls up the gaps for extra bases. Personally, right now, I think pitching might be ahead for the long term, but two-way is very much still on the table for him. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. And again, that's Kason Chada. Burton, your last guy here in this category, Bryce Munchell.
Yeah, kind of what stood out to me about this category, like biggest improvement, is just like guys who have made huge jumps physically, like Martin. Muncho Bryce came in and got a chance to talk to him. I was like, man, like, would you grow like a foot? Uh, and he was like, yeah, I've grown quite a bit. And he still has those young features facially and everything. But he has just really shot up. He stands 6'1" now, really long levers, still young. Think there's still some room to grow. There's definitely some room to fill out. Um, Hands are preset back at the plate. It's a pretty quiet load. Then it gets pretty violent on the turn. He really gets the barrel through. Has some lift built into the swing and shows some power potential, especially to the pull side. I just like the way that that he's matured physically, and I think as he continues to add strength to that frame, with the repeatability of the swing and the pre-pitch movements, will give him a chance to hit for some power potentially.
All right, and let's go ahead and move to our last category here on this. Guys, we're looking forward to seeing this spring in a competitive setting. Yes, showcasing is one thing, and we get a lot of good information and data for it. But sometimes there's just something to be said for seeing them in competition, seeing hitters not facing BP, but facing live pitchers, pitchers with an umpire back there and a batter standing in as well, and how that translates. So, Jordan, I'm going to tee this one up for you first here again.
Yeah, one player that I'm excited to see this spring is Danny Kilgore from Hanover. Um, really excited to see him step on the mound for the defending state champs. Not quite sure how many innings he will get for the Hawks in spring, but I can see him being a solid contributor on the mound. He's an athletic mover on the mound, works with pace and intent. Fastball is in the 84, 85 range, but I can definitely see it ticking up more as he adds strength to his wiry frame. He has feel for the curveball that he can land at any time, it seems like. And I think it's upside for him, and I'm just excited to see what he brings to the Hawks this spring.
All right, again, that was Danny Kilgore. I'm going to go ahead and go with an arm that I mentioned beforehand, Trey Gren. Graydon was standout last year, PAS. Velocity ticked up. He was 89 on his first four or so fastballs. I really liked that he looked like he leaned his frame out a little bit. It was in a good way. I really also like the way his slider played well off the fastball with late depth. We've seen him throw pens and look great multiple times or in a short outing, but I really want to see him get out there and get batters out, not just for an inning, but for 2, 3, 4 innings, a whole start. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing that this spring. And that's Trey Graydon from Riverside. Bert, where you got here?
Matthew Swanson, sophomore from Walsingham, right-handed pitcher. He was at our beach event on Saturday. Swanson was a recent reclass into the 26th class, moved over to Walsingham. Higher slot, downhill playing to the mid-80s fastball. The fastball tended to work glove side. He would fall off of it just a little bit, and it tended to work to that side. Breaking ball was the winner for me. I thought it had more power tendencies. He threw it hard, had some hard bottom to it, slightly bigger shape, plenty of depth, showed ability to throw it for strikes, and he should be one of the best uncommitted arms in the 757 this spring and a frontline arm for the Trojans.
All right, how about we stick in the 757 and go back to Jordan heading out to the beach?
Yeah, another player that I'm excited to see is Matthew Matheny. Man, he's just a gamer. It's good to see him in the BP workout setting, but when it comes to a game, he takes it up a notch. He's a competitor, impacts a game in multiple ways, a smooth defender in the infield with arm strength to make the tough plays. At the plate, he's a tough out. He gets in, gets his hacks in, but also has an approach where he has the discipline to take a walk. And then if you walk him, he's a threat to swipe some bags as well. So I'm excited to see that in a game situation this spring.
All right, and I'm going to go Drew Markey from Bishop O'Connell, 2026. Markey was great last season for O'Connell. The time I saw them, I happened to miss him, unfortunately. I would like to see him in person, see how he competes. That conference is easily the best top to bottom in the region. There's something to be said for stuff, but then also just being able to pitch. And he's kind of got both and has shown both. So I want to get out and get a chance to see him in game. Also, it doesn't hurt that there's a chance to see his classmate, 26 catcher Jack Woda, who was the best thrower that we saw this weekend, down to 194, and bat just continues to improve. So Markey, Woda, and really Bishop O'Connell's 26 group in general are guys I'm looking forward to this spring. Bert?
Chase Obstgarden, outfielder, right-handed pitcher, Independence Junior. Obviously, we talked about him kind of at length after the fall state games, especially for you. I know he was impressive, and your looks at him then. Kid just does a little bit of everything. There's strength. It's an athletic frame. Uh, does everything with intent. He's kind of 100 miles an hour. Hit tool, flashes some gap to gap power. I know he again showed some feel for the barrel and ability to hit for average in that Mid Atlantic State games in the fall. Again, shows some power in carrying gaps. Athleticism and versatility is kind of the two things that stand out to me. Uh, Low to mid 80s arm on the mound, and he competes. Just excited to see him this spring. I think with them losing all of those seniors, he becomes him and a few others become pivotal points for that Indy Tigers powerhouse. And we'll get a chance to see them at the Commonwealth Classic.
Certainly looking forward to the Classic. All right, Jordan, back to you, back to PA, I believe, right?
Yeah, I'm sticking there with 2026 Aiden McKing. I'm excited to see him this spring because the kid can just flat out hit. He uses the whole field, is not afraid to work in the deep counts, has added strength to his long, lanky frame, and there's still room to add power. So as he adds strength, the power will come for McKeating. But there's a lot to like for Princess Anne with McKeating and Matheny being on the left side of the infield, coming back for another spring season together.
Yeah, and I'll add this real quickly. I thought Reed Vandegrift, also from PA, had a pretty good day. 2025 as a two-way, ran sub 7, showed some power at the plate as well as a fastball velocity up to 84. So good combination of groups of guys from Princess Anne. My last guy here, I'm going to go Garrett Camp, third baseman, right-handed pitcher from Battlefield High School at 2026. Camp started most of last year as a freshman at third for the Bobcats. Pretty strong season in a real tough conference. I'll be interested to see how his offseason impacts him at the plate. Last year, he's mostly a lighter line drive singles hitter. He could drop a double if he put it in the right place. This year looks like he's added a little bit of strength. I want to see how that translates at the plate, see if that power starts to begin to show a little more. Also, I could see him getting up on the mound a little bit more than he did for Battlefield last year and having more of a two-way impact. Bloodlines are a thing that matter in baseball scouting that we can discuss at length in some other venue here. And Camp's got some of that going along. His dad had a pretty long career as a major league reliever. So the pitching's going to come eventually. So definitely interested third base, and we will go from there. And then lastly, Bert, who are you looking forward to?
Well, before we move on to that, I mean, I got a chance to watch Garrett pitch yesterday, and I thought he spun it really well. That was my first time seeing Garrett pitch at all. Um, and, you know, I thought he spun it well. I thought he's got room to grow into the body. I want to say, what is a low 80s arm, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 82, 83. Splendid breaking ball for strikes. Kind of had bigger shape, but he showed some feel for the zone. So I definitely think I agree with you on that take, Nolan. That there's definitely some upside with him on the mound as well. But I know he was pretty strong as a freshman for Battlefield. Um, my last guy is Aaron Dirks, right-handed pitcher, West Springfield, 26. Um, to preface this, talking to him yesterday, he's been a little under the weather for a few weeks, so kind of getting back on his feet. Um, Velo was down just a touch. I know we've seen him in game, in person, and the up to the 87, 88 range, right in there. And he was 83, 85 yesterday. It's the beginning of February. He's been sick for a few weeks. We all know that's going around. But just the body, 6'3", proportional strength, really long levers. It's a shorter arm action. There's some deception there. Low 70 slider, above average spin. I want to say it's somewhere in the 24, 2500 range, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and I think he's got an above average feel for the zone with that pitch. I think it kind of jumps at you with the arm action. So was just impressed, especially coming off of that sickness and kind of getting his legs back under him a little bit. And just thought, he's certainly a guy that we're going to get out and see this spring.
All right. So again, that's a wrap on our conversation about week 1 of the PAS. Look for much more coverage on social media, on the website as we go, and many more players that we'll highlight going forward here. Let's go ahead and talk about weekend 2 of the preseason All-State. This weekend will be our second 2 sessions in Danville and Richmond. Danville is Saturday morning at Elite Performance Academy Hitters House in Danville, Virginia, featuring over 20 players. Richmond is going to be Sunday morning at Iron Bridge Academy in Chester. We've got over 70 players coming. In the interest of time, let's go ahead and combine this event and discuss, or these 2 events, and discuss 2 players each that we're looking forward to seeing this weekend. And instead of bouncing around, let's go ahead and just hit both our guys bang, bang. So, Jordan, I'll clear the road right here for you to go ahead and do these right now.
So the first guy that I'm excited to see is Jaden Grant, 2026 right-handed pitcher from Manchester. Grant's one of my personal favorite arms in the state. Has pitchability, competes, fills up the zone with multiple pitches. I'm just excited to see if he's put on some weight, sharpened his pitch mix, and ticked up in velo any this winter. Then my second guy is Aries Oliver, 2026 from Northside. Super athletic kid, plenty of room to add strength to a 6'3", 185-pound frame. Toolsy, can defend in the outfield, is a above average runner, has strength at the plate. I'm just excited to see how all that has come together for him over the winter.
All right, and I'm going to actually go ahead and do both of mine from Richmond. I'm not going to be at Danville. So Caden Behan, a 2026 right-handed pitcher from South County. We haven't seen him since early summer. He was up to 85 during a scout day. That offseason between freshman and sophomore year is a big one for development and strength adding for players. Behan's got a big physical 6'3" frame. I'm curious to see what this weekend is going to look like for him. Did he make a big velocity jump, what his stuff is, and whether I've got to really start circling a date that he pitches on the calendar, like I'm kind of already planning to. Second guy here is Jacob Blosser, left-handed pitcher from Broadway, 2025. We haven't seen Blosser at an event in almost 2 years at this point in time. So our numbers on the website are a little old for him. And if you look at the picture, he looks tiny. If you watch a video of him, like I did a couple of times in the last few days, he is huge right now, and like a good kind of huge. The kid's been in the weight room. He's gotten big. He's transformed his body. He looks physical. I'm really curious to see what that velocity is going to look like off of that as a low slot lefty. So, Bert, who are you looking forward to seeing this weekend?
I'm going to say in Richmond, Will Haney, shortstop for Atlee, 2026. I think he was a little dinged up in the fall and didn't get a chance to be at state games. So he's a guy who's primed for a big sophomore season. Started at shortstop pretty much all year last year for Atlee. And then another sophomore, Jalen German, right-handed pitcher from Trinity Episcopal, big physical frame, power tendencies, power arm. I know he's been getting after it this winter. I've seen some videos and seen some data on him, so just really interested to see kind of the gains he's made, especially in the secondary area. Um, especially in the area of secondary pitches. So excited to see Jalen and Will, both sophomores from the Richmond area. And then um, going west, the Halifax trio on Sunday or Saturday, sorry. Colin Hatcher, freshman, younger brother of Mason Hatcher, Radford commit, catcher and outfielder listed as. Carter Thomason and Logan Clark, both sophomores at Halifax. We've seen Thomason and Clark, both impressive sophomores, um, who have a bright, promising future. So those three underclassmen for Halifax, kind of the next wave for the Comets. Um, the Halifax is seems like they're in the thick of it and up there every single year. And I think this group right here is kind of the next coming of what you're going to see from Halifax over the next few years. So excited to see those three on Saturday.
All right. Yes, going to be a great weekend all around. Going to wrap up a big roll through here, our preseason all-state series. Folks, generally speaking here, the 2024 high school season it's just around the corner, guys. Tryouts are next week. We'll be announcing our summer event slate probably in the early part of next week. Keep an eye out for that announcement, as well as we'll have an explainer on an update and a change to the future games format going forward. So keep your eyes out for that. We do have a Rising Stars event coming up in Nova on Sunday, March 3rd. There are still spots available for that if you want to grab any of those. And then we're also rolling season previews by region. We did Vista last week. I saw VHSL Region 1 VHSL Class 1 went out on Monday of this week. And we are rolling these through by region here over the next couple weeks leading up to the announcement of our preseason all-state team and our preseason Power 25. All these things coming over the next few weeks on the website. So keep an eye out for them. And with that all said, that's a wrap on this episode, and we'll see you out there.